It's Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Corey and Mason.
Welcome to another episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast, the podcast made by film fans for film fans. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mason Schmidt, here with my best bud, Corey Knudsen.
Ew.
This normal time. This doesn't matter already. But this was our second attempt at recording this intro, and Corey threw me a curveball by just saying hi gently the first time, and I've never hated him more in my life.
Wow.
If you're new to our show or one of our three regulars, please do us a favor and subscribe to our channel, whether it's on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever the fuck you listen to podcasts. I don't even know. I don't listen to podcasts really anymore. And also follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more in-depth movie reviews and movie news. Now let's talk about movies. We had some smaller, newer releases from this past week, some also releases from television shows that we're kind of staying up to date on with Daredevil, but small film news, physical media releases, we'll get into it here. But Corey, what are you drinking today, and how have you been?
Yeah, you're being a bitch. You're not drinking on Masters Sunday? You fucking serious?
I'm not the biggest golf. Like, I used to watch golf when I went to my grandpa's house. It was just the only thing he ever had on TV, and it was always muted. I was just like, what the fuck is this sort of life? And now, like, as I've gotten older and I've tried golfing, I have more respect for it because I suck ass at golf, and I'm like, oh, this is way more challenging than I ever would have thought. But yeah, I have a couple of weddings this year, this summer especially, where I have speaking roles, where I'm a best man or an officiant. And the one where I'm a best man at, which you will also be at, has a lot of girls that we went to high school with that I just need to impress in my head. I'm like, oh.
As a married man,
I'm like, I need to look good. I need to be like, oh, like Mason looks great. Like, I need that for my own confidence.
So you need 2 months of prep.
2 months of prep, yeah. Oh yeah, shit, it is in June. Yeah, 2 months of prep. I was like, fuck, May is gonna be busy. No, May's our birthday. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I got little Dos Equis in these slim cans. I've never seen this before, but these are at the Liquor Store this morning. I was there right at the opening, along with the other.
Just scratching the glass.
Let me in. Let me out of my cage. Needed that for Master Sunday. Love that shit. But very disappointed. We obviously had the Artemis 2, the trip around the moon. NASA sent the astronauts up. The 4 of them, I guess like 3.5. One of them's Canadian, so it's like whatever. But they came back, the 4 of them, and I was like, if there's any time to get Fantastic Four powers, this is it. There's 4 of them, there's 3 men, 1 woman. What better fucking ratio is that? And they came back pretty normal, like they're safe and everything, but...
Setting records in space.
No rock powers, no stretchy limbs, no invisible things, so that's...
I would be pissed to be Reed Richards and coming back and all I could do is just like stretch. Like that's my thing.
That's pretty useful.
Like, yeah, he has his intellect, but that's not like a super... He uses it as a superpower, but it's just like he comes back and he's just rubbery. Like, oh shit, like, oh no.
You can just sit on the couch, grab the remote, grab another beer from the fridge, make popcorn or something, you know, with your hand.
Yeah, or in like the 2004 Tim Story one, you can reach down the hallway to grab toilet paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
You can do whatever you want. So
when he does the fingers underneath the door, or the full hand, I'm like, that's still so gross to me. I'm like, what do his bones do? Like, what the fuck are those now?
Just like, slithering.
They're just rubber. Everything's rubber. I don't like it.
Everything's rubber, but I guess we'll have to wait till the next time I actually go.
Pedro gets stretched by Doom.
Fuck. RDJ's gonna have a time. Holy shit. Anyways, maybe next time when we go actually land on the moon again and see what aliens are there or whatever. Apollo 18. Did you ever see that movie?
I remember the trailers for it. Yeah. It was just like a found footage horror movie, and I was like, I don't
it wasn't great.
That's fine.
But it did get me in the mood to like rewatch Apollo 13 or something, or like other space movies this week.
Again, Project Hail Mary being out, I'm like, I just want to watch Apollo 13 or Ad Astra, like I brought up last week, Interstellar. It's cool.
Anyways, so this week I didn't watch that much. Last week I watched a ton of shit, but the one big new release of the week was Maul Shadowlord, the new Star Wars show, which takes place in the not very much explored period between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Not a lot of projects.
Never do we see stuff from this time period.
And so this is basically after we saw Maul at the end of the Clone Wars on Mandalore, fought with Ahsoka. Fucking awesome episodes there. Oh, yeah. One of the best runs of that show. And basically, Maul is kind of running this, rebuilding his crime syndicate on this planet that isn't really touched by the Empire, and he's kind of making his presence known there. I really dug these first 2 episodes we got. We're going to get 2 episodes a week until May 4th. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's a nice little release just to have a little bit more than just one 25-minute episode a week. I kind of like that. Sam Witwer as the voice of Darth Maul has always been fucking awesome. He just gets into that role. He even like put like face paint on and like eye contacts in to record the thing, which I'm like, all right, that's a bit much, but also like that's cool.
Theater kid.
Yeah, 100%. But he's really great in it still, and one of my favorite areas of Star Wars is just the crime underworld, these syndicates, these kind of shadow collectives. I've always thought that's been really neat, and we've kind of got a little bit of it in The Mandalorian of like bounty hunter stuff.
Some with Andor.
Yeah, a little bit there too, but I just love seeing like the Pikes and all these other syndicates and stuff, and them kind of battling and turning against each other. So already this show I was really excited for, and these first 2 episodes are really cool. The initial opening scene of the first episode is so fucking great. It's just a heist that's pulled off, and then the way that Darth Maul comes into it, and you hear Duel of the Fates, and it's like, yeah, they get it. This is fucking sweet. I also really love the animation. I think it looks really cool. It is kind of Clone Wars-esque for the most part, but they actually use, I was reading up on it, they use more like matte paintings actually of this crime world. So it looks really cool, kind of watercolor type things in certain scenes. And some of the animators actually used, they painted brushstrokes on glass and then inserted that into the animation, which is really cool. So there's some like skyscape scenes that just look really great. So I'm a big fan of this show so far. Like I said, I just really like the crime world and seeing Maul just go through this and taking out people left and right. And kind of how everybody's reacting. We get a new kind of Jedi in this show, so it'll be interesting to see where that character goes. But really digging it so far, and yeah, just excited to keep watching it over the next couple weeks.
Sweet. Is the new Jedi like? Is it a full new character, or is it new to this story? Like, to
me, it's a new character. I don't know if they've been in like the books or anything, but it's. One little flaw I have, and it's not even with this show specifically, but it's a Jedi that survived Order 66. We're getting to be a little bit too much where I'm like...
I liked it when Anakin was really thorough, and the Stormtroopers were really thorough. It's like, I feel like we're just bringing back too many.
I'm like, I get that not all of them died, because like there were a bunch off-planet doing shit and killed some of the clones or whatever, but... I'm like, we're pushing it. It's not, if this character is really cool, then I'm fine with it, but... like, because we had Kanan and Rebels, and we had Grogu, obviously, and so I'm like, just be careful with this.
Yeah, I feel like that's a well where they can just like, we'll keep pulling from there. Like, oh, actually, there was another Jedi. It's just stop. Come on.
Yeah.
It does, and I also like Star Wars. I don't need a Jedi to be the main character. This is a Darth Maul show. I'm sure Maul is very much the central focus, but I don't need a Jedi to be the main force of good in a Star Wars movie. Like fucking Andor was fantastic. Like I don't need that, and I would watch a better solo movie than the one that we got, but. I'm interested to hear kind of your updates on that week to week. I haven't stayed up to date on like a whole lot of the animated Star Wars stuff. Like I know that there was like Tales of the Sith and Tales of the Jedi.
Those are pretty cool.
Is the animation kind of similar to that still, or is that different than the Clone Wars a lot?
Yeah, it's all kind of in the same area there. Okay. I really like just with Maul as the main character at this point with his character that he's not really a Sith anymore. He's just kind of like because. Whatever, in Clone Wars, like, Palpatine betrayed him, so he's like, alright, I don't really give a fuck about him anymore.
More of an independent contractor.
He's more of an independent contractor. He's kind of a gray area character, which I really like, because he's still got the fucking lightsaber, and there's a kind of prison break scene in, I forget which episode it is, but it's really fucking cool, too, where he's just marking dudes down a hallway, kind of like the Vader scene in Rogue One, similar to that, so... He's just fucking... he's top 5 Star Wars character for me.
Yeah.
100%.
I wish... They did him such a disservice by not carrying him over in those prequel films. That's, like, one of the big negatives I have of the prequels, is that they don't have, like, an overarching, like, second-in-command. Like, yes, you kind of have Palpatine and his influence... But, like, we need, like, who is the muscle? Like, we have Maul in the first one, then it's Dooku, and then we have Grievous, and it's just like, okay, well, who can we have to kind of toe the line and be the through line? I wish Maul was around more. He was just so good.
One of the best decisions they ever made in Clone Wars was bringing him back, and in Rebels, too. He's fucking awesome in both of those, so happy that he's still kicking around.
Yeah. In terms of movies that we had coming out this past week, I was able to catch up on a good deal of stuff. One that Corey talked about last week, which we'll highlight again a little bit later. But I saw Faces of Death, which is coming from director Daniel Goldhaber, who did How to Blow Up a Pipeline. This is like a meta remake, meta continuation of Faces of Death, which is kind of a controversial glorification of death. It's a film from the 1970s, late 1970s, that had both real footage of on-screen deaths and fictional retellings of deaths, and it was kind of just looked at as being like a shock film or a smut film of just for horror fans, and it has kind of an interesting kind of backstory, and some people like hail it as being like somewhat of a classic, and some people are like, this is disgraceful. So why not make a metafictional continuation of that? This is a film that stars Dacre Montgomery, Barbie Ferreira, and Charlie XCX is in it for a couple of scenes. She's starting to act more. Don't know why. She's fine in this, but all right. Didn't need her in it. This movie follows a woman played by Barbie Ferreira. Her character's name is Margot. She's employed as a website content moderator. So kind of similar. It's not called TikTok in this world. It's like Kino or Connie, or I forget what the name of it was. But she is a content moderator, so she will go through all these videos being uploaded and mark if it's explicit, if it needs to be scrapped and taken off the site, if there needs to be any sort of warnings on it. And then she kind of gradually comes across this series of violent videos put out by this same uploader, and she's like, I don't know if these are real. I don't know if these are just like a student film or if they're for fun, but they look like these could be real. These could be real deaths. So this is, like I said, it's a meta-fictional continuation because the 1978 film exists within the world of this movie. And it's kind of a main influence and main motivator for Dacre Montgomery, the killer. It's a main motivator for him. He wants the notoriety of what that film had, and now living in a very social media soaked world that we live in, he's like, okay, I want a following. And the way he does this and pursues kind of these acts and films these killings, he finds people that have larger social media followings. People that live near him, people that he can track down, kidnap, and then, oh, boom, now that this guy's head is in the middle of a table and there's these two mannequins just taking a hammer to his head and just like stuff like that. And it's kind of sadistic. It plays out similar to like a Saw movie in terms of some of these kills. But it reminded me a lot of Michael Mann's Manhunter. I forget what the name of like the fictional serial killer was in Manhunter, but Dacre Montgomery's portrayal reminds me a lot of that. Just somewhat, almost even like Buffalo Bill and Silence of the Lambs. He's on edge. He's very kind and like he's very articulate. And he wears glasses and he's nice to people, but you can tell like he's fucked. This guy's not blinking. I think the performances all around were really good. Dacre is fantastic as the main antagonist of this movie. Barbie Ferreira, I haven't been exposed to much of her acting. I know she's in Euphoria. I haven't touched Euphoria, nor will I probably ever touch Euphoria. I just have no interest in that show. But she was really good as a lead of this woman that's getting so wrapped up in her work that it's really controlling her entire life, as she's like, all right, no one's gonna help me, no one believes me that these are real, I'm gonna track this bitch down using the resources that she has. It is very meta, and I think it does meta, like poking at horror tropes, but also like how we exist in this world now with social media, as well as talking about, hey, this movie from the 1970s that we're basically a sequel to, but also reintegrated it into the story. It does that really well too. So I was really impressed by, yes, this movie is a pretty good, like somewhat slasher, horror, mystery thriller. It's good at that front, but also the meta aspects really worked for me. The messaging can sometimes be a little over the top of like social media, having a following, the notoriety of people. Why are there so many true crime documentaries? Why are we glorifying killers and murderers? Well, people watch them. Why do we follow why do we watch horrible reality television of the Mormon wives? Well, people watch it, like me. So I think that there's some messaging within that movie, or within this movie, where they're making comments on that and poking fun at like how we observe things and what we spend our time focusing on. And I think that worked relatively well. There are some times, especially in the like third act, where I'm like, I don't know. The film doesn't like break its own rules, but there's just some stupid character decisions happen where I'm like, I don't know if this would be like within the world allowed to happen. But overall, I was really impressed by this movie. I haven't seen anything directed by Daniel Goldhaber before. I know How to Make a Pipeline. I saw the trailer for that, I think at the main cinema, maybe sometime 2 years ago or last year. And I was relatively interested in that. So I might go back and check that out because it's a really sharply directed movie. It's an hour and a half. It's pretty concise. And I had a really good time watching it. So I'd recommend it to you. I don't know if you're going to check it out in theaters, but it's good enough to see it in theaters. It was a relatively slow week this past week, and as stuff starts to pick up in the coming weeks, and then as we transition to summer, that might get lost in the shuffle. But I'd recommend it for horror fans, and it is pretty gory. It's pretty kind of gross gory. It's just like where you're like, I shouldn't have had fish before coming in. Like I scarfed down dinner and then raced to the theater, and then I could feel my meal all movie. So good. But I would recommend the movie. It was really good. Really impressed by it. Another movie that I was able to catch this past week, which came out in 2025, but finally in the United States, it came out this past week, and that's Exit 8. This is a Japanese horror thriller. It is a adaptation of a video game which I've never played or really even heard of up until this point. But it follows this man who is stuck within this train station. The movie opens through this man's point of view of him on a train, earbuds in, and he overhears this man just yelling at a woman with a baby that's crying. Like he's like, control your baby, calm it down. What kind of a mother are you? Just laying into this woman for having a loud baby on a train. And the character puts his headphones back in, just kind of zeroes back in on his own life, and just turns a shoulder to that. Doesn't pay attention to it. And then he gets a call that is gonna he gets a phone call from someone in his past that's gonna kind of maybe cause some shifts in his life moving forward, and he has to make a decision regarding this phone call. While all this happens, he then finds himself stuck in this train station that he can't escape. He needs to get to exit 8 before he can leave this train station, and he starts at exit 0. What happens every single exit is that either he will go down this hallway, and the same situation will occur. He'll see the same walls, the same person, everything will be the same. And if it's the same, he moves on to the next hallway, he continues forward, and the exit will now change from exit 0 to exit 1. If, while going through exit 0, he notices an anomaly, something that wasn't there prior, he has to turn back. And if he doesn't do that, he starts all the way back over. So he needs to kind of consistently make the right decisions moving forward to get out of this train station. And with that, it's a pretty good premise. It's a little gimmicky. It's a chamber piece where we are stuck with one character, one to three characters really in this one setting, as he's trying to problem solve his way out of this 2-hallway train station, basically, so he can get to this exit. There's some good horror elements, but I wouldn't say that this is a horror film. It really does play out like a character drama with some thriller aspects and mystery as to like kind of what's going on, even though the film doesn't really over-explain anything. It doesn't go into how this is really happening for this character, which I really appreciated. This movie is technically a 2025 film, but since it came out in the States in 2026, I'm going to count it on my 2026 ranking of movies from this past year. And right now, it's my number 2 favorite film of this year. It's just so well told. It's well shot. The acting is fantastic. There's, yes, it is a Japanese film, so there's English subtitles. There's not a lot of dialogue in this movie, really. He has a phone call, and there's a couple of small conversations and exchanges between him and a child, but it's mostly just watching this man try to figure out what the fuck's happening. And it works really well. There are some little horror nudges that I really appreciated, and just it's very unsettling as he's trying to figure out what is going on and what he's supposed to learn from this. And I found what that message is, what this character has to glean from everything that's going on. I found that to be really impactful and somewhat moving. So I really appreciate this movie. I don't want this one to get lost just because it's finally showing in the United States. And like I mentioned with Faces of Death, we have a lot of stuff coming out now, kind of throughout the summer, starting next week. This is a great, quieter film. Again, another 90-minute, somewhat thriller, and I loved it. It was such a good time. Pretty moving, well shot, and a couple of times where it's not necessarily like a horror thing. The score is really present in this movie, and there's some kind of auditory signifiers that kind of keep coming up throughout the story that signifies, oh, we're in a new hallway, or oh, we're in the same hallway, something changed. And there is a moment when he fails going through these trials and going through these hallways. He misses something, and he has to start all the way over after making so much progress. And the light shifts from being a subway tiled, all white setting, white light, very sanitary look, to all yellow. And the score seeps in and it's very loud. And the character's just like dismal. He's just desperate. He's trying to figure out what's going on. And I was like, this is unsettling. Like, it fucked with me a little bit. So I really appreciate this movie. I definitely recommend checking it out. Even though it is a foreign language film, it is fantastic. It is easily one of my favorite movies of 2026.
I'm definitely looking forward to Exit 8. I would check both of these movies out for sure, but Exit 8, just from the premise, I've heard a lot of other people talk about it too and really enjoyed it. So, yeah, definitely want to check that out at some point. A lot of my week was taken up by reading a book, which I haven't read a book in a while. Take from that what you will. You can be like, oh, fucking uncultured, whatever. I don't give a fuck. But anyways, I read Fight Club this week, which a lot of people may not even know that the movie is based on a book. But it's from author Chuck Palahniuk. I think that's how you say his name. But I just happened to be talking with my coworker about... she was reading Fight Club, and she had never seen the movie before, so I was kind of like, oh, I love the movie, it's great, and so we did a flip-flop. She loaned me the book, I loaned her the movie, and she watched the movie and really liked it, and I read the book this week, and I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, the movie is... I watched it for the first time, like, probably 10 or 11 years ago, so in high school, and I was like, oh, this movie's awesome. It's definitely, like, in my, favorite movies of all time in that kind of grouping, and... It was really interesting to read the book because it's more of a difficult read, I guess. Like the prose of the book is kind of very choppy and jagged, where it's not a traditional narrative. It's very much jumping just from thing to thing to thing to thing, and it's just statements that don't really link together a lot of times. So it is kind of not an easy like get back into reading type of book, but it was really interesting because I think that the movie does a really good job of visualizing it and realizing that. And I know the authors even talked about he thinks the movie is an improvement on his book. He thinks that it's better just in the way that it captures everything, which I would agree with too. Because a lot of the narration in the movie is really just taken straight from the book. There's just almost every line is just lines from the book. So it was really interesting just kind of reading the book and then watching the movie back to back. And it was funny watching the movie because I'd forgotten this, but I have a PS3. That's my Blu-ray player that I have in my most updated gaming system. So watch the Blu-ray on that. But I'll put a picture of it right here. But for the video watchers. But when you go to the Blu-ray, the title normally it has the title of the movie and the poster, and you click on it to hit play.
Yeah.
But with this one, it just has a period instead of saying Fight Club. And then it has, a picture of in the movie, they have the in-flight, pulling down the oxygen mask things, but the ones that they make in the movie as the poster. It was really interesting. I don't know. I didn't remember that from before.
Yeah.
But, obviously, the first rule about Fight Club, don't talk about Fight Club, so not having the title there. It was interesting. Also, I didn't remember that the Blu-ray, when you click on it, it brings up the Never Been Kissed Drew Barrymore title for about 10 or 15 seconds, and then it kind of crackles and shifts to the Fight Club menu. That's fucking great.
See, that's a lost art of these physical media we talk about all the time. We love it. We still collect, but also just the title menus. Before you press play, the care that used to be put into those, especially in the 90s and 2000s. Now, even when you get physical media, it's just all right, do they have any special features? No, and then it's just a still image of the film, and you just press play. But I miss little stuff like that, and I feel David Fincher releases always have something kind of interesting to them. So it doesn't surprise. I haven't watched Fight Club in a minute, and I haven't watched it on Blu-ray in a while, so I'd be interested to kind of sit down and watch it and experience that again. Yeah, it was really funny. It was just kind of a cool little kind of memory there. So. But yeah, the movie, I think it's obviously a classic for a reason. Everybody hypes this movie up, and if you've never seen Fight Club or read the book, Edward Norton plays a office worker who has insomnia, and he kind of meets this guy named Tyler Durden that is a soap maker, but also a waiter, also a movie projectionist. That comes into his life. They start an underground fight club with a bunch of dudes, and they kind of build out from there and build out this sort of revolution-type army thing. I don't want to spoil everything, so if you've never seen it before, it's awesome. I remember watching the movie for the first time, not knowing the kind of where this movie goes. So if you haven't seen it, either read the book or watch the movie. I'd recommend both, but I'm going to get into spoilers now. It's been out for a long time. Are the endings relatively the same?
pretty similar. The specific ending of the book is different, which I'll actually get into that now. So again, spoiler warning for Fight Club if you haven't seen or read it.
This movie from 27 years ago, or a book for, I don't know when the book was written.
96, so it's the 30-year anniversary of it. And I know they're doing some re-releases of the movie in theaters, I think in later this month maybe. Okay. So, it's pretty similar, the book to the movie. I think it is one of the better adaptations I've ever seen, where it really does hit all the same beats that the book does. The ending of the book is the main character obviously is Brad Pitt, Edward Norton. They're the same character. Tyler Durden is him. He's just known as the narrator in both versions of it. And he shoots himself in the big office building, and then in the movie it just ends with him and Helena Bonham Carter seeing the buildings blowing up. That's how the movie ends. In the book, that happens, and then he ends up in a mental institution or a hospital where he's still alive, but he's kind of dreaming, and people from the Project Mayhem and everything are like, oh, we can't wait till you heal up, sir. We'll meet you in the once you're better. So it's a slight difference. I actually kind of prefer the movie ending a little bit.
A little bit more clean cut.
Yeah. But it's really interesting because, the movie tackles a lot of themes, and the book as well, of really, there's a lot of things about kind of the anti-commercialism themes in there.
Starbucks.
You're right. There's that. There's what the author kind of described as societal blocking, where he had an experience in real life where he got beat up on a camping trip, and then he went to work, and nobody at work asked him about his bruises or anything. So he's people care about you to a certain extent, where they don't really want to know that much about you, but they want to be polite, so they're not going to ask. They're just going to say, hey, how was your weekend? Instead of being like, what the fuck happened to your eye? But I guess the biggest thing that this movie kind of on this watch hit me with was about men needing a place to express emotions. And the authors talked about that too, where women kind of have book clubs and all these other things that they get together with and do. And he was like, yeah, I could have called this movie Golf Club for men, or watching Sports Club for men, but he's didn't quite have the same impact as a Fight Club and that kind of animal nature of men to get together and just beat the shit out of each other. And it's really interesting because the afterword in this book is actually really cool, and one of the better ones I've ever read, where he talks about the legacy of Fight Club after the movie came out, where he would be on a haunted house tour or something, and the host of that tour, or the tour guide, would be like, all right, first rule of the house tour, you don't talk about the house tour. And then afterwards he's like, hey, I wrote that book. And the guy's like, what book? He's like, Fight Club. He's like, oh, the movie. He's like, no, it's based on a book. He's like, oh, actually? I didn't know that. He's like, yeah, I wrote the book. Yeah. But he also
don't even know you're quoting me.
Right. And it's so interesting because he's like, people took all the wrong lessons from the movie. Yeah. Where they're like, oh, Brad Pitt's so cool, he dresses cool, they're fighting, he's got ripped abs, and they're just in this grungy basement fighting each other. He's like, that's not the point of it, because it was real Fight Clubs started after, especially the movie, in a bunch of countries, and he's like, it's insane how the legacy of the movie went in the different direction from what I intended, of men needing to just express their emotions and be okay with talking to each other, kind of like we see in the opening of the movie, where it's at these different support groups for testicular cancer or whatever, where they're just crying together. And
Meatloaf.
In Meatloaf, yep, Bob. Bitch tits Bob.
Bob. I forgot, Jared Leto is Angel Face or whatever they call him?
Yep, he's one of the Project Mayhem, one of the space monkeys they're called in the movie. But just really interesting to kind of lean into the history and the legacy of Fight Club and how people really took it. And even now still, when people say Fight Club, first rule Fight Club, don't talk about Fight Club. That's all you kind of hear about it. And they talk about the cool fighting and all that stuff and the blowing up stuff. But how the meaning of it has kind of gotten misconstrued a bit. And so it was really interesting doing this kind of read and watch through of the book and movie. I know you read a lot more than I do, obviously.
I'm trying to.
So I would recommend the book for sure. I think you would definitely get something out of it and kind of it really is close to the movie too. Like I said, it's a really great adaptation. So it's great. David Fincher does a fucking awesome job with the movie. And kind of one last point on it is the reason that I like the movie a little bit more than the book is I think it's Fincher has such a great way of visualizing all of this that you can't really experience in the book. One example of that is splicing in Tyler Durden in the early parts of the movie, because you learn later he's a projectionist and he's splicing in like these images from like porn scenes, like a dick into a kid's movie into Cinderella or something.
Yeah, the mom's just like,
it's like, did everyone else see that?
Yeah.
So just for like a frame, for a second. But earlier in the movie, before we actually meet Tyler Durden and we see the narrator kind of, creating this split personality, you see a split frame of Tyler Durden. And it's just something you can't write in a book, really.
Yeah.
So I think it's executed so well. And you also kind of get the cigarette burn, like the film reel thing. That's something I always remember of learning that for the first time watching that movie, of like, oh, that's what that is. That's really cool. Obviously Brad Pitt, Edward Norton, Helena Bonham Carter. This is one of my favorite performances from her.
One of my favorite lines ever. And it's one of like the most contested lines in the movie of like, I haven't been fucked like that since grade school. And originally, do you know what that original line was supposed to be?
Yeah, she's like, I want you to have my abortion.
Yeah, I can't wait to have your abortion.
Yeah.
Just like that is... And then they're like, that's too far. We can't have that be said. And then they're like, all right, well, we'll say this instead. And they're like, okay, actually, can we switch it back? They're like,
Nope, this is it.
you did this. This is your fault now.
Yeah.
This movie has such an interesting legacy. This was one of the first like Fincher movies I remember watching. I think the first Fincher movie I ever watched was Panic Room. My family loved Panic Room, so we watched that a lot growing up. But then Fight Club I watched, and I was like, shit, this movie, one, is depressing. Like, I went in for it, like, with that legacy speaking for it of, like, oh, it's like a really good, like, Fight Club. Like, it's like a guy's movie. Like, this is a good movie. And then you watch it, and you're like, oh, this is kind of, like, upsetting. And this movie made me, like, woke me up to the Pixies, which is that song, Where's My Mind, comes in. And I love that song. And I love the Pixies now, and I listen to the Pixies, and every time I do, I think of this, and I think of now James Gunn's Suicide Squad with "Hey," and I really like this movie, and yeah, it's. Would you put it? We talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but how would this kind of fall into a Fincher ranking for you?
It's tough. I mean, dude's a fucking beast.
One of the best.
If I had to do like a top 5, it would be in no particular order: Fight Club, Seven, Zodiac, Gone Girl, and Social Network. I think Social Network is still my favorite. I think that is just like a perfectly written, perfect everything movie.
Yeah.
7 and Fight Club are maybe 2 and 3, and then maybe Zodiac and Gone Girl, kind of 4 and 5.
I think we have this
pretty close to there.
I think we have the same 5, just maybe in a slightly different order.
Okay.
I think you like Social Network more than I do, and I'd probably just switch that in 7 around and maybe move Zodiac. I don't know. It's a toss-up too, just because I like everything he touches is really great. Even like his version of Aliens 3 or whatever the assembly cut was, I really like that still, even though he doesn't want to talk about that movie ever again. Understandably so, but yeah, what a great movie. I'm actually really, every time I ever like look up greatest books of all time, Fight Club comes up a lot, or like most kind of influential modern books or novels written, and that one always comes up. So I'd be relatively interested in checking it out. But did your coworker, which did she prefer, the movie or the book?
She didn't say specifically. She wanted to wait until I read the book to see it, but she did like the movie. She said it and I agreed with her and everything that it captures it really well. But it's a pretty quick read too. It's like 215 or so pages, which is a brief read. Even so, this week I was just like, I appreciated the conversation with my coworker and talking about it here and everything. But this could have been like 3 more movies that I watched this week. And I'm like, every time I was reading, I'm like, this is a cool read, and I'm happy I'm doing it. But I'm like, I could have watched movies that I own and haven't seen. Yeah. I'm a much more movie TV person than a book person. Call me a degenerate or a pleb or whatever the fuck. But yeah, this will probably be the last book I read for a little while.
I think the main difference between you and I is I might be more of a movie book person where you're a movie TV. So, like, but I also think like that. I think in the mind of, like, how much time I would have had for movies. Or, like, anytime we're driving and, we're 2 hours and 20 minutes away from this place, we could watch Batman Begins right now and we'd make it there as the movie's wrapping up. Yeah. Like, that's how I timestamp things is like, 103 minutes, we could watch The Expendables. Like, okay, like, it doesn't matter, but that's how I gauge time now. And now reading, I'm like, I could be watching, like, one of the 16 Blu-rays I've bought recently, so... I'm happy that you did that kind of experience of reading and watching it. I usually fall back on whatever you expose yourself to first, you're likely going to like more. The quality, unless it's just like, I feel like one of the many YA novels that's coming out where the book is actually pretty good and the movie's just like utter garbage or something like that. Like, the only film where I read the book first, then saw the movie, and thought the movie was better was Gone Girl. I think that movie improves on the book massively. But it's usually like a toss-up, or it's just blatantly obvious that the movie sucks. But I'm happy that they're kind of equal to you. So
Fincher's got a good track record with adapting books.
For a big movie for Corey last week, which is kind of a surprise because I kind of wrote it off and was like, I'll catch up on it eventually. And then Corey really liked it, so I'm like, fuck, okay, I gotta go see it, which is The Drama with Robert Pattinson and Zendaya, which was... talked about a lot. It's kind of somewhat controversial based on some of the reveals of what a character may or may not have done or planned to do. We'll just talk about it. Zendaya's character planned a school shooting, and there's a lot of conversation to be had around that. She didn't pull it off. She didn't go through with it, but Robert Pattinson, her fiance, is finding this out the week of their marriage or of their wedding, and he now is just like, all of our friends know, well, most of our friends know this. They look at you differently, and they're looking at me assuming that I should also look at you differently, but I'm trying to make sense of this. I love you, but I guess I don't know you, but also does that matter? Is it pertinent? You didn't do it, but you still planned it? Like, I don't know. This is coming from the director of Dream Scenario, which is also a very off-kiltered, interesting, kind of darkly funny, weird, out there movie, which I appreciate. And going into this, having you kind of talk about it, I was like, fuck, okay, I need to go see it. And there are some moments of this movie that really worked for me. Overall, like, I didn't, like, there's not really anything I disliked about this movie. It didn't hit me as hard as I was hoping. The flashbacks to Zendaya in high school, or however old she was, like 13, 14, 15 area of her like high school years, that was some of the best parts of the movie. And that's where a lot of the dark comedy comes in, similar to like when we talked about Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, of like how they approach school shootings. Young Zendaya recording her like, well, so I guess you guys now want to watch this video I made of like my dissertation on why I did this. And just like her recording and practicing with her gun and taking photos, very like edgy emo stuff. There is a line in this movie where she calls out a classmate in a video, and she's like, what? I forget her name. Bridget, you're fucking dying tomorrow. Just like something like that. I was like, oh my god. Like, not a lot of people in my theater were laughing and reacting, so it made it harder for me to laugh and react, because then I'm like, they're going to think I'm a horrible person, but that's so funny to me right now. The performances are great. You mentioned, I don't know if you mentioned it while we were recording, but you're like, Zendaya looks so stunning in this movie, because like I've never been like attracted to her. I think she's fantastic. I like her and what she's in. I especially with this year, I'm getting a little worried that I might get oversaturated with her being in Spider-Man, drama, Dune, just everything, Euphoria now. Granted, I don't watch that, but she is. I don't like Cameron Diaz in The Mask. Like women that just in one movie were just the most beautiful a woman has ever been. Zendaya is rivaling that in this movie. I'm like, holy shit! Like I've never like. She's also a phenomenal actress. I'm not just here to talk about her looks, but whoa. Wake-up call for me watching this movie a little bit. I also just love Robert Pattinson. I think that they have a good dynamic, and while a lot of this movie does kind of delve into them having hard conversations and arguments, I liked their chemistry before that reveal happens, which it does happen like probably within the first half an hour, and then it's a lot of the unpacking of that. I believe that these two fell in love. I believe their chemistry, and it made sense to me. And then, can you please, because I'm going to butcher his name, the best man, or his friend.
Oh yeah, Mamadou Achi.
Achi, okay. Yeah. Mamadou Achi, he is maybe my other favorite performance in this movie because he's just like a good dude. He's a good supportive friend, and he's Alana Haim is great in this movie too, and she is borderline. Sometimes she has maybe done things that were worse or just as bad, and then she all of a sudden has this god complex where she can talk down to Zendaya for planning something bad, where Alana Haim's character actually did something horrible, but it's a little bit less egregious by comparison, I guess. She is a great kind of villain to this movie. I was on like the edge of my seat during her speech at their wedding. I'm like, what are you gonna say? What's gonna happen? But Mamadou Achi, I'm like, just a good dude. I'm like, if I'm Robert Pattinson, you are so lucky to have this guy as a friend. Like, this dude's standing up for you. He's helping out as best as he can, and he's also like kind of coordinating the wedding. And he's like, now we'll hear from the father of the bride, or like all that stuff. I was like, he's great in this movie. I don't know if I like really registered that I've seen him in much before, but he was fantastic.
Jurassic World Dominion?
Yeah. I actually consistently every day of my life try to forget about that movie more and more. But it's not this movie didn't wow me. I still had a good time watching it. It's, I think, really well made. It's the best part of this movie, actually, and it just came to me, the editing. This film is edited so well, and it's very interesting. Like, they'll just kind of cut around things, and they'll splice in different, like, sequences that happen later on, and they'll just skip past things that you don't necessarily need to see, but it was an interesting kind of fragmentation the way that they edited the film, so I really appreciated that. But yeah, it's more than just the movie where Zendaya's character planned a school shooting. Like, it's a pretty good drama. It's not a romance movie, but there are like moments where I'm like, yeah, I get this. And the way, as someone who recently is married and planned a wedding, the way that they dissect some of the wedding culture and the wedding planning aspects of like photography and photographer, and the way that they're going to orchestrate their shooting schedule on the day of, and then also the DJ and all that shit. Like, what a weird added subplot of them walking past the DJ late at night and seeing something that's going on. They're like, oh, we need to talk to her about that. And then they get like this new fill-in DJ on the day, and I'm like, I like that everyone has the same image of a wedding DJ in their mind, and it's very much the guy that shows up on the day of. It is just kind of quirky and off the beaten path. So I really appreciated this movie. It's not my favorite of the year, but I did really enjoy watching it in theaters.
I talked about it a lot last week, but to that DJ kind of subplot, a couple things on that. I love, again, to this being more than just the Zendaya almost planned a school shooting or whatever. Yeah. Like, they see their DJ do one bad little thing, or maybe it was their DJ.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't, but more than likely it was. And Zendaya's like, all right, well, we can't have her as our DJ because we saw her do one little bad thing, playing into the idea of, like, do we judge people based on those little bad things? I think that works. Also, the new DJ that comes in, during the movie, I was just like, okay, you're getting a lot more screen time than I thought you would. Leads to one of the best jump scares in any movie, better than most horror movies in total, where it's just a perfect moment in this movie.
Perfect cue. Just right time, and knowing what all these characters are experiencing, and when shit's kind of hitting the fan, but they're like, all right, well, we have to kind of keep this under wraps. We're still getting married today. Like, wedding is happening, speeches are happening, and then that one thing that makes characters react, I'm just like, perfect.
The tension's just building up already through the speeches, and Robert Pattinson's speech at the wedding is so fucking awkward and hilarious, and he just kind of admits things, and you're like, oh, fuck. It's
like, you didn't have to. You didn't have to. Oh, God. It's a good watch. It's very interesting.
I really do appreciate how the movie both opens and closes as well, where we kind of get their meet cute at the coffee shop or whatever, but we don't spend a lot of time in there getting to know each other. We kind of have that scene, and then we jump to him writing the wedding vows. Yeah. And we learn more about their relationship and how they got there through the vows. Yeah. And I think that's a really smart choice. I also love how the movie ends, too, at this diner, where it's kind of a callback to a scene that they tried to do earlier in the movie of starting fresh and doing a new thing, and they just kind of do it in this scene. I thought it was a perfect way to cap this movie. I've loved sitting with this movie for a week. It still is my favorite of the year, so glad you watched it. Glad you at least liked it.
Yeah, I liked it, and I would recommend it. It is kind of a harder thing to recommend just because it is an interesting watch, but it's a movie that feels special to itself. Like, I couldn't... There's not a lot of movies like this one, and I think it does have a lot to say without preaching to you, and it's a lot of, like, messaging that I'm like, yeah, I get this, and the themes of, like, boiling someone down to one thing that they may or may not have done. And it's just, it's interesting. It works, and I think it's something that everyone can get something out of. Mm-hmm. So it's a good movie.
Yeah, good discussion piece for sure. The last kind of new thing this week was the newest episode of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. We had episode 4. We are halfway through the season already, and this was definitely my favorite episode of this season so far. Mm-hmm. We had the great opening scene with Bullseye, seeing his morning routine, making eggs, talking to his neighbor, going to the diner, just ordering a milkshake, scoping out lobsters and forks and everything else. I really love Wilson Bethel in this role. He's kind of been a underrated person as far as like season 3 of Daredevil and then in Born Again season 1 and 2, but I think he's really great as the character. And seeing the opening scene, it felt like a scene that would have been in the original run of Daredevil.
Yeah.
Like a cold open to that show. And I appreciated that. And we also get a great Bullseye and Daredevil fight in his apartment later in the episode with like a CD kind of initially starts it out. That's really fun. Another thing that kind of reminded me of old Daredevil was Matt going to a church and sitting and talking to one of the pastors there. It was just like that's we talked about it last week. Like that's some of the stuff I love the most from that original run is those quieter moments where he's just praying or asking for forgiveness or asking for guidance or whatever it may be. And we got that here, and I really appreciated it. And then the episode ends with, spoiler alert for this episode if you have not seen it, but we have the boxing match between Fisk and this other dude for charity. And Bullseye comes in, he's trying to get revenge on Vanessa, and Vanessa ends up getting a piece of glass in her temple. More than likely dead. I think she is.
I hope she is.
Yeah, it's not confirmed. In superhero things, you can never say definitively if you don't see the body or the funeral, I guess. But I thought that it was really, if she is in fact dead, which I kind of hope they do, it's a great catalyst for Fisk to just up to the next level.
Yeah.
More than he already is. But also a great kind of closure of Vanessa and Fisk's relationship where she has this white dress on, and then she has the blood pouring from her head, and the red going on the white, much like the Rabbit in a Snowstorm painting, where you see the blood from Daredevil Season 3, the blood go on that. So it's just a nice kind of parallel between that, and I think it would be a really impactful and effective way to maybe close out Fisk's character, as far, even if he doesn't die at the end of the season, but just to kind of close out him. I really like this episode. I thought it worked really well.
Yeah, I did too. I think that this is the best episode of Born Again, like Season 1 and Season 2 to this point, and it does feel the most adjacent, similar to what we said about Episode 3. It's starting to feel more like Netflix Daredevil, and I really appreciate that. I like the opening of this. I really thought that this was just going to be fully from Bullseye's point of view, his perspective, and just get like a day in the life of Bullseye, and I was like really hoping for that. It made me think of like Doorman on Wonder Man. I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'll do another episode like that. I had to Google it. So this isn't an original thing that I caught or remembered, but I was like, what is the significance of the banana milkshake? And it is a callback to in Daredevil Season 3 on Netflix when he has banana-flavored protein powder in his kitchen, in his apartment. And I'm like, okay. I just thought that I'm like, is this a thing in the comics? But I like that intro with him. I like him, like how scary it is of him walking into a diner and then calling the police and being like, I think I just saw Frank Castle. He's got a gun. Like, and then knowing, okay, shit's gonna go down in this diner, likely for. I was hoping, I'm like, hopefully no innocence. And there's a couple, like, he's looking too long and too nice at a certain guy in a diner who has a dog. And I'm like, please just, you don't need to kill him, leave him be. But I really appreciated Bullseye in this episode, and I like how he's somewhat like he mentioned to Daredevil, he's like, I'm on your side or something like that.
Yeah.
While they have gotten into a number of tiffs already this season and in this episode, I do like the Fisk boxing match. That poor bitch that he's going up against, like. If he wins, like, okay, you beat the mayor. You lose, well, you're gonna get fucking killed probably by Fisk in the ring, because there's a like. The thing that he comes up, they go on, touch gloves, and then Fisk just boom. I'm like, you tool, like, okay. But I was really excited for that match and the way that it went down, and just him just absolutely manhandling this guy. I was like, this poor dude is just gonna lose his mind right now. But also, yeah, you mentioned it, him being in a church. I'm like, this is Daredevil. talk about like his struggle a little bit more, and like it's kind of grated at me a little bit with like him and Karen going back and forth between killing people and like doing things the right way, and now it like has recentered me on like this is why I love Daredevil. He tries to do things the right way. He has restraint. He tries to act morally. I like where this episode ends. I hope that they continue with Vanessa potentially. Like, I hope next episode starts in a hospital or a funeral scene. I hope Vanessa's dead. Because I feel like we've gotten too many close calls with the Fisks where I'm like, I just need someone to die. And I think that could be a good catalyst for Fisk to go on just a fucking tear. That could lead to his demise. There's a lot of mentions of Frank Castle. My theory is that Castle kills Fisk, whether it's in the one shot or maybe he kills Fisk. He comes in, shoots Fisk in the head, and that's the end of the show or this season. And then one last kill is the aftermath of him hiding out. And I'm like, I don't know. I want to see Punisher, and I want to see Fisk meet an end, whether it's death or going back to jail or whatever. But I feel like at this point, him already going in and out of jail, being the mayor, I'm like, he needs to die to me to kind of finally put a period on his story. But I like a lot of this episode, and so far this season has been a bigger confidence boost in terms of like the team operating behind the scenes, giving us a good season. So I'm really excited for the latter half of the season and how it leads into the way New York is represented in the MCU moving forward. Just because I'm like, how do you come back from Fisk as a mayor and stuff like that? And now you have all these vigilantes and anti-vigilante task force and stuff like that. So I did really, really appreciate this episode. Moving into the new releases coming out this week, this is where it starts to, at least for us, ramping up. We have Lee Cronin's The Mummy, which is directed by, you guessed it, Lee Cronin, who did Evil Dead Rise. He also did a smaller horror film called The Hole in the Ground, which I heard small things about. I think Stockman reviewed it one time way back when, but this is starring Jack Reiner. A young daughter of a journalist disappears into the desert without a trace. 8 years later, the broken family is shocked when she is returned to them, as what should be a joyful reunion turns into a living nightmare. I've liked the trailers for this. I'm getting really excited for it. A new horror film coming out. I'm definitely going to check it out, especially with Lee Cronin attached. I loved Evil Dead Rise. Normal coming out from director Ben Wheatley, which is a very interesting kind of director for me because he did Kill List, which I really like. I also really like Free Fire that he did, and then he also did Meg 2 The Trench, which I'm like, no fucking way did he do that. This is starring Bob Odenkirk, very much in that same realm of like the Nobody films, but he's like a small town, I think Minnesota sheriff, but Bob Odenkirk, Lena Headey, and Henry Winkler are in this film. Centers on a temporary small-town sheriff played by Odenkirk who uncovers dark mysteries after a local bank robbery. Again, it taking place in Minnesota. It's like, oh, doesn't happen often. That's kind of cool. Yeah. We have Mother Mary also coming out, directed by David Lowery, who is the director of Green Knight, The Old Man with the Gun, and A Ghost Story. He has a interesting back filmography, too, of what he's directed, but nonetheless, this is the Anne Hathaway film, A24 producing. Long-buried wounds rise to the surface when iconic pop star Mother Mary reunites with her estranged best friend and former costume designer, Sam Anselm, on the eve of her comeback performance. It looks really kind of witchy, kind of has more of a horror edge to it, so I'm interested in that as well. I think so far The Mummy and Mother Mary might be the things I try and rush out to see this week. We also have Four Kids Walk Into a Bank, which is a movie I've never heard of until looking up the new releases for this week, which is coming from director Frankie Shaw. This is the feature directorial debut of Frankie Shaw, and it's starring Liam Neeson, Teresa Palmer, Jack Dylan Grazer, who I love, and this is after the death of her mother. Paige's grandfather becomes her guardian. When criminals demand that Paige's grandpa join them for one last job, she has a choice. Let her grandpa return to his criminal ways or enlist her three best friends. So I haven't seen a trailer. I haven't heard much about this. I forget what studio's putting this out. It might be Universal. But yeah, I thought this Liam Neeson being attached to something, and I don't know anything about it. I'm like, what? This is kind of under the radar. But pretty big release week with some notable movies to go check out this upcoming Friday.
I'm definitely excited for The Mummy. The trailers have worked really well for me. I think I'm going to rewatch the Brendan Fraser Mummies this week just because it's been a long time since I've seen those. I don't remember like a lot of specifics about them. It's just been forever. So
love those
really excited to watch those. Mother Mary is just such an interesting thing. I don't think it's going to make a ton of money because I don't think the marketing, like, for a wider audience, I don't think it's going to like bring in a lot of people, but for us, I think it could be something really interesting too. Yeah, and then Normal, it's Bob Odenkirk doing a little action. Yeah, that could be fun. That'd be alright. If I have some free time, I might try and check that one out.
Yeah. Feels like a good matinee.
Yeah.
Moving into physical media roundup, I think I might have also bought this movie last week, and I just forgot to bring it up. But it came in the mail this week, and I'm really stoked about it because it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite Jason Statham action movies. But I bought Crank, the 4K Blu-ray Steelbook from Lionsgate, and it has a sweet slip. Comes off, has Jason Statham on it, and then it has basically Dr. Phosphorus from Creature Commandos on it. The Crank movies are fucking wild. The first one I really like. The second one I love just because it is the most absurd thing I've ever seen. I love these movies. I'm happy to add this to my collection. I hope Lionsgate puts out a steelbook for Crank 2 High Voltage just because that movie is just, again, so wild. These were some of the last movies I ever rented from Blockbuster when I was like 11 or 12, and they're very interesting action movies, and they're just wild. They're such a fun ride. They're high octane, just bullshit, and I enjoy it thoroughly. So I'm happy to have that now.
Yeah, Lionsgate is always putting out great stuff. Coming out this week, not a lot of things, but Life of Brian's coming out on Criterion and on 4K. Fantastic comedy if you've never seen it. Or Holy Grail, too.
Fine, I am the Messiah, now fuck off! That movie is so funny.
It's great. The Phantom's coming out on 4K, and then Meet the Fockers also coming out on 4K. Into movie news, you touched on the Punisher One Last Kill. We did get a full trailer for it after a little teaser we had last week. It looks really sweet. I mean, a lot of this is just, this trailer at least, is Frank Castle just sitting in a room in like an apartment.
Yeah.
And you see little flashes, you see like gas pouring in and a fire starting. You see Curtis pop back up from the show, which I love that character, and who knows if that's just a vision or if he actually does pop up. We'll see. But I think it looks really sweet. We had a couple final trailers for Mortal Kombat 2 and Michael, which we'll be getting here in the next few weeks and months. The Lord of the Flies, the Netflix adaptation. I'm actually really excited for this because Jack Thorne, I believe it is, who did Adolescence, is the showrunner, and I just really think with that show and the way that he dealt with kids is a perfect translation to Lord of the Flies. A book that has been adapted many times and every kid has probably read in school at some point, which I think we both really like that book and
read it in Mrs. Carey's class.
Yeah, and it's really, I think he's the perfect person to kind of do a new adaptation of that. And then we had a trailer for The Invite, which I am stoked for. This is Olivia Wilde's new movie with Seth Rogen, Edward Norton, speaking of him, and Penelope Cruz is in there as well. Just couples getting together for a dinner party, and it just goes to kind of unexpected places, it looks like. And I'm stoked. I've liked Olivia Wilde's movies. I think Booksmart is fucking awesome. And Don't Worry Darling, I think, is kind of forgotten now. It's more remembered for the Harry Styles controversy and Chris Pine and spitting on Chris Pine. All this, like, I actually like the movie. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't mind Don't Worry Darling. I think that movie kind of got a bad rap because all that public stuff was happening as the movie was getting released. And it's like, okay, well now the actual TMZ bullshit is overshadowing the actual movie, which the movie has like some, like there's things in that I'm like, what does the fucking plane mean? Like there's like, it just drops the ball on certain things, but I think overall the movie's like a good time. I really like that Punisher trailer. The Invite is the trailer that was the biggest one for me this week, just because I'd been interested, but I don't know much about this, and then seeing that trailer, I'm like, all right, I'm sold. I like this. I'm actually, for once, excited for a Netflix TV show with Lord of the Flies, because I love that book. Reading that book, I just always feel so fucking bad for Piggy. I'm like, you gonna call this kid Piggy? Like, that's so fucking mean. Do his face and then make him do all this bad shit. I'm like, I think that this is a book that sets itself up so well for a limited series, and I can't wait to watch it. The trailer looks good. It looks really convincing. The actors look good, so I'm excited for it.
Other news, as far as MCU stuff, the new X-Men movie, Jake Schreier, who did Thunderbolts, is going to be directing the movie, but we got the writing team this week. Beef creator Lee Sung-jin and The Bear, one of the showrunners, Joanna Kahlo, are reportedly writing the script. I love The Bear. I think that's a great show. I haven't seen Beef, but I've heard a lot of great things about it. I know season 2 is coming out relatively soon, so maybe something that I check out. Is there any, to put you on the spot here, any casting for this kind of reboot of X-Men that you're like, this is a person I'd love to see as an X-Men character? Any character?
I always feel like it goes to like Magneto and Professor X, and I still like I love the idea of Giancarlo Esposito being Magneto or something like that. He could also be Professor X. Like, he'd be great in both roles. Who was the guy that played Carl in Project Hail Mary? He was in The Beef.
Yeah, that is... Fuck, what is his name? Let me look it up
And
here.
it's strictly because it has that connection, that connection to the bear, not beef.
Lionel Boyce.
Lionel Boyce.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him as an X-Men or be in that cast, especially if Sadie Sink is potentially rumored to be Jean Grey, and if that's like the age demographic they're going for with a lot of this cast. I'm like, I don't know who he would be, but I liked him in Project Hail Mary so much. I'm like, I want to see him more. And if you have that connection to the bear, fine, bring him over too. So I obviously like Giancarlo Esposito. He's the one I think about the most, but I don't know. Give me a good Cyclops. Give me a good. I don't need another Wolverine. I don't know how they're going to handle Wolverine, actually. I don't even fucking know. But yeah, I think Giancarlo Esposito is the biggest one. Just put him in there somewhere.
The one that I've been kind of thinking about is Peter Claffey as Beast, who, if you've watched The Night of the Seven Kingdoms, he plays Sir Duncan the Tall.
Oh.
And him as Beast, I think, would be awesome in that. So that's kind of my hope as of right now. I think he'd be really cool.
I'm already going to have to take back Giancarlo Esposito because he was, Sidewinder in Captain America Brave New World, so you can't really bring him in as a Professor
It's happened
X,
a couple
but-
times, double casting,
Yeah,
but
I don't know if Sam Claflin, or Claflin, whatever his name is, whatever his name was in Catching Fire, Finnick, I think he'd be a good Cyclops.
It could be good.
Steven Summers, or Scott Summers. I feel like he's not in as much as I wish he was because I really like him. And I think he has that superhero look. And I need a badass Scott Summers because we haven't had a really true badass Scott Summers or Cyclops in at least the Singer Netflix or Singer X-Men universe.
yeah, he's great in Peaky Blinders, so love to. I actually really like that. Other superhero things: Superman, Man of Tomorrow, coming out next year. James Gunn said that they are doing some casting for the character of Maxima, who I'm not too familiar with.
Yeah, I was trying to Google that before you threw it over to me.
Some alien queen that I'm not, like I said, don't really know too much about, but some of the actresses in contention are Grace Van Patten, Sydney Chandler from Alien Earth, Eva DiDomenici, and Adria Arjona. They're all testing for the role. So, I don't believe we've ever seen this character in live action before, so... would join a pretty good cast of Lars Eidinger as Brainiac, David Cornsweet, Nicholas Hoult, obviously, and all the other, the Justice... What are they called? The Justice Gang?
Justice Gang?
Justice Society? Whatever the fuck they are.
Justice Society is...
Justice Crew? What the fuck are they called?
I think I don't know. Because Justice Society, isn't that what they were in Black Adam with Dr. Fate and Hawkman and all that shit and Atom Smasher?
Yeah, what the fuck are they so many fucking
Doesn't
names.
matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
JLA? No, that's Justice League America. Fuck.
Hold on, I'm looking it up
I'm gonna
right now.
revert back to it doesn't fucking matter. But I think
Justice Gang. Okay.
that's what they're going. Okay.
That's, yeah,
But
sure.
I don't know if I've ever. I'm looking up images of Maxima, but it looks like I'm seeing images from the Superman animated show, and I'm like, okay, she kind of looks familiar. I don't know much about her aside from her being an alien queen. I hope it's not Adria Arjona, just because I feel like the rumblings of her potentially being Wonder Woman. I'm like, I really like that.
I would like that, yeah.
So, but all these are great actresses, so I'd be really stoked with any of them. Just I want to keep Adria Arjona for something else.
In more DC news, the Batman Part 2 is reportedly filming soon or now or something. It's happening
June, maybe?
finally, yeah.
Or now, yeah.
At least it's kind of getting the ball rolling, at least. But we just got some news that Andy Serkis is coming back as Alfred, which is great. I feel like he had to be in there, which he was a really good Alfred. I'm excited to see more of him. And then Avatar 4 and 5. You guys still excited for those after Fire and Ash?
Moderately excited.
Yeah. Well, James Cameron says that they're trying to make them cheaper and shorter. Hopefully they're shorter to the tune of 0 minutes long, and they're just
really are done with this franchise.
I don't need any more. What more can we do?
That's true.
What else is there to do here? We did the same movie twice in a row with Way of Water and Fire and Ash. I'm just like, okay, you don't have anything else.
Yeah.
And I don't need these movies. Just release them as books or do your press conference, whatever the fuck you were talking about. Please.
Can you imagine a James Cameron press conference?
It'd be better so that he can, in the
Somebody dies.
Cool. Great.
What's Stephen Lang?
Quaritch. Just, I want James Cameron, and, he's old, obviously, and he doesn't have a lot of years of big movie making left. I want him to do other stuff, and I just hate that it's all right, well, the next, again, another decade or 15 years is going to be Avatar again. I'm just like, really?
Yeah. I wish he would do, like, granted, Avatar is kind of, like, original, but now we have sequels to it. I would like to see him jump onto some new original story or new idea, because I feel like every time James Cameron's brought up, it's Avatar, or it's Terminator talks, or it's Alita Battle Angel. It's like, move him to just something else. Have him do, like, another True Lies. Have him do, like, or The Abyss. Like, let him do whatever he wants. Get him off of all these franchises or recognizable IPs where it's like, okay, Avatar, we've been there, done it, and not to say that he hasn't done a good job with Avatar. I think the first one's pretty good, the second one's pretty good. I enjoy the third one. But I think you could probably hand the reins over to someone, at least with maybe, or someone that's willing to do a different story or incorporate different aspects to it. I like the idea of these movies being shorter because I don't think they all need to be 2 hours and 40 or plus or over 3 hours. They just, it gets to be a lot watching these movies in theaters. But I'm happy that they're at least recognizing, all right, we need to change our ways. Granted, Fire and Ash made 1.5 billion, which isn't bad, but it's just less compared to the previous two. So now they're like, oh, we need to kind of actually like put some thought into these movies now. They're just not going to print money anymore. Hopefully, you put some thought into these and you give me a story that's different from the last two movies because they are relatively the same. And I'd like to see maybe Korch and Sully team up and we can just drop off Avatar 5. Just wrap it up in Avatar 4. Just give me one more movie, make it concise, wrap this story up. I don't need Spider anymore. I don't need any characters anymore.
Fuck Spider. Holy shit.
The worst protagonist in a movie from last year was definitely Spider for me. But that will do it for today's episode. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. In the world of film, it's not just about what's on screen. It's also about who's next to you in the theater.
For Mason and I at Slate Night, that's a wrap.